A very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the soil, different kinds of soil and soil properties, and how it is important for different environmental practices, how many factors are responsible for the soil degradation. So first, I would like to start with the major components of the soil. So when we talk about soil on the earth surface, so there are six major components of the soil. First one is eroded rock, then mineral nutrients, decaying of the organic matter, water, air, and the living organism. Okay, a soil is composed of these six elements. When we talk about soil, it may be some eroded rock, it may be some nutrients, it may be some organic matter. There are also soil moisture is there, water content is also there in the soil, that you call it as a soil moisture. Air is also trapped in the soil. Okay, soil is a very you can say the particles in the soil can trap the air, and living organism can also be found in the soil. So these are the six major components of a soil. So why soil is very important? What are the importance of soil? So first and very important importance of soil, that it provides the nutrients to the vegetation, to agriculture, different kinds of grass and other things. Okay, all the nutrients which is required for growth of the agricultural crops, for vegetation, for any kind of forest, all can be provided by the soil. Soil also helps to recycle or filter the water. Okay, and it also stores the water. Soil may also be useful to store the water, and soil is the basis for the life on earth. Okay, most of the plants get the nutrients from the soil, and plant provided the glucose and the oxygen. What are the requirements of a plant? That all provided by the soil in terms of glucose and the oxygen. Without this, plant cannot grow. So you can see here, soil is the basis for the life on earth, because if there is no plant, there is no vegetation, there is no forest, so we cannot get proper amount of the oxygen. So and plant is totally dependent on the soil, because it provides all the necessary nutrients to the growth of that plant or vegetation or any kind of forest. So it is very important component of our environment, and we need to preserve, we need to work on the conservation of soil, because soil is degrading day by day, because of the pollution, because of other factors. So today we will also discuss different degradation factors of the soil. Okay, so soil generally associated with the creation of infiltration and the leaching. Okay, these are the two important terms which is related to the creation of soil. Infiltration is the downward movement of the water through the soil. When the water moves, when the water passes through the soil, that downward movement of the soil is known as infiltration. Okay, this infiltration process is responsible for the groundwater recharging. Whatever the underground water you found, that are because of the infiltration process, that is the downward movement of the water through the soil. Then second is leaching. Leaching is the dissolution, or leaching is the process of dissolving of minerals and different organic materials in the upper layer of the soil. Okay, so these two terms are very important, infiltration and the leaching. Infiltration is responsible for the uh, uh, water storage, that you call it as a underground water, and leaching is responsible for the dissolving of the minerals. That minerals are basis for different nutrients responsible for the growth of a plant or vegetation. Okay, so the soil type determines the degree of the leaching and the infiltration. Depending on the infiltration process, depending on the leaching process, we can categorize, or we can determine the soil type or the soil property. Okay, moving to the next slide. So formation of soil, how it forms. Basically, soil is formed by the clay and the mix of dead vegetation. Okay, so it may be formed because of the physical weathering, chemical weathering, and the biological weathering. When we talk about physical weathering is a kind of mechanical weathering, and any process that breaks down the soil into smaller pieces. Okay, this physical weathering breaks down all the rocks into very small pieces without changing the chemistry of rock. That is the process of the formation of soil. And wind and water can also be an important factor for the physical weathering. Okay, wind and water also breaks the rock into different smaller pieces. So that is the process of the soil through the physical weathering. Now second important process which is responsible for the formation of soil is chemical weathering. Chemical weathering results from the different chemical interactions between the water and the atmospheric gases, like oxidation, hydrolysis, acid rain. Okay, these chemical interactions, these kind of chemical processes are also responsible for the formation of soil. And third is process which is responsible for the formation of soil is the biological weathering. Biological weathering takes place as a result of activities of living organisms that can be combined with the chemical process also, that is chemosynthesis of the bacteria. Okay, and the roots of the plants and trees created the fissures in rocks that may be exposed to the further mechanical and chemical weathering. So when we talk about the formation of soil, so it requires three processes. Out of three processes, any processes of written here, physical, chemical and biological, any process can be responsible for the formation of soil. And soil is the mix of clay and different kinds of dead vegetation. So this is the process of the formation of soil. And so soil, like when we talk about soil, 1 gram of the soil has over 50,000 protozoa. Protozoa is small bacteria. Okay, it's a living organism that can be found in the soil, as well as the algae, fungi and different kinds of earthworms and nematodes. These are very small, very small bacteria that can be found in a 1 gram of soil. Okay, and the soil having pores. Soil is having some particles. Soil is made of very teeny particles. The pores between teeny particles, or the pore between the grains of the minerals in the soil, are filled with the air or water. Okay, that's why soil also contain air and water, because soil is made of very teeny particles, very small particles, that you call it as a grains. Okay, so that grains, that teeny particles are filled with air or water. And because all the plants need water and oxygen, that's why soil also provides the necessary oxygen and water to the growth of that plant. And the size of the particle that makes up the soil can be determined by the size of the pores between the soil property. Okay, so it can also be categorized on the basis of the color and texture. Soil can be categorized on the basis of their color and texture. Texture is directly related to the size of the grain, size of the particles. If the size of particle is very large, then it will have different kinds of texture. If the size of the grains or particles of the soil is very small, it may have different kinds of texture. So depending on the size, it may be categorized into different texture. Okay, so this is the layer. These are the layers of the soil. A soil may have different layers, starting from the O horizon. O horizon is the uppermost layer of the soil, then A horizon, B horizon, C horizon, and at last there is a parent material. So this is the these are different types of layers can be found in a soil. Uppermost layer is known as O horizon, and that is very responsible for the infiltration process. When rainfall is there, when the rainwater falls on that surface, it infiltrates that water to the underground aquifers that can be stored in the aquifers in the form of groundwater. Okay, now what is O horizon? It's the uppermost layer of the soil. So it is also containing different kinds of leaves, different kinds of crop waste, animal waste, organic material. It's a dark and crumbly material that results from the decomposition of organic matter. Okay, then after O horizon there is a horizon. It is a topsoil layer that is very much porous and mix of the humus and some inorganic particles. Okay, so the leaching process occurs in the A horizon. And if there is a high leaching rate, means if there is a high mixing of a high dissolution of the different organic materials, so that soil will be more fertile and it holds more water and the nutrients. B horizon is the subsurface sub layer of that soil that is composed of with different kinds of inorganic minerals that broke down the rock into different clay, silt, and sand. It also receives different kinds of minerals that can be leached, that can be dissolved out of a horizon, as well as different organic material. Then sea horizon is the parent material. It is the lowest layer of the soil. Sea horizon is the lowest layer of the soil that is having large pieces of the rocks that have not been undergone much weathering. Okay, and these are the very starting material. These are the initial materials that are responsible for the formation of the soil. And after sea horizon, there is a R horizon. It is also a bedrock. It is also a bedrock that have not undergone into the weathering process, so it is not converted into the soil. So a soil having different layers starting from O horizon, then A horizon, B horizon, C horizon, and R horizon. O horizon and A horizon are the topmost layers. Most of the infiltration, most of the leaching process occurs on the top two layers, such as O horizon and A horizon. Okay, so this is the different layers of the soil structure. So when we talk about O horizon, which is uppermost layer, it is having different leaf materials, different organic materials. A horizon having plunge, it is rich in organic matter. There may be oxygen and other kinds of organic materials. B horizon is a zone of accumulation. All the nutrients are accumulated in the B horizon. That is a process of the leaching. Leaching process occurs in the B horizon, and this is the accumulation zone. Means it accumulate all the necessary nutrients in that layer. C horizon is the weathering of soil that is having little organic material, and R horizon is a unweathered process, that is a parent material, the initial phase of the soil. The initial state of the soil can be found in the R horizon. These are some kind of rocks, bedrocks that is not unweathered, that has not undergone into the weathering process, means it is not converted into the soil. Soil texture is very important. The soil particles of a soil may have different divisions. It is having three major divisions: clay, silt, sand. Clay are the very fine, very smallest particle of the soil. Its diameter is less than 0.002 mm. Okay, and they can easily stick to each other. Its size is very teeny, so it can easily stick to each other, and there is little room between the particles to store the water. It is extremely compact and feels sticky. Sticky means it can be combined with each other very easily because its size is very small, very fine particles. Silt is having greater diameter than the clay, that is having diameter between 0.002 to 0.05 millimeter. It is having smooth surface, smooth texture. It holds all the water. Okay, and it resists the filtration process. Sand, the diameter of the sand particles in the soil is around 0.05 to 2 mm, and it's a coarse particle that is too large to stick together. Its size is very large, so it is not it cannot stick with each other, and it creates the soil with large pores. Okay, that's why it can filter the water. Sand can easily filter the water, so when you put the water on the sand, you see it's completely disappeared within few minutes, within few seconds. That is because of the diameter of the particle size in that soil. And gravel is the larger particles. Its diameter is more than 2 mm. It's a larger particle that can be found in the soil, and it does not hold the water well. So the sand is very important. If the soil is having sandy particles, if the soil is having different sand particles within the diameter of 0.05 to 2 mm, so it can easily filter the water. It can easily allow water to go inside to that soil surface. That is very much useful for the underground water recharging. So soil texture is very important. Depending on the soil texture, you can know the filtration process. Like clay is not having large particle size, it's very small particle size, so it is there is no room, there is no space to pour for the water. But the sand is having larger particles, and it cannot stick with each other, so there is a chance, there is a space, so that water can easily uh, filter. Water can easily go through that surface. So clay, silt, and sand and gravel, these are the four kinds of soil textures that can be categorized on the basis of the diameter of that particle. Acidity and alkalinity is also very important. Most of the soil is now having different kinds of pH values. Okay, so the soil quality, all the productivity of a soil can be assessed by measuring its acidity and alkalinity level. Okay, most of the soil is having pH value between 4 to 8. Okay, if the soil is having pH value between 4 to 8, this kind of soil is good for different kinds of agricultural practices. This is very good for different vegetation and other things. Okay, and if pH level increases, then it affects the solubility of the nutrients. It determines the nutrient availability for absorption of the roots. If the soil is too acidic, it means it is having certain soil nutrients in that region that will not be able to taken up by the plants. If it is too alkaline, so the same process is there. So its range is always between 4 to 8. 4 to 8 is the ideal pH level. pH value measures the acidity and alkalinity of the soil. How much soil is there, how much the acidity of the soil, how much alkalinity of the soil, that can be measured in the terms of pH value. Okay, so the ions of heavy metals like mercury or aluminum can leach into the underground. These ions will then travel to the streams and the rivers, that is having negative impact to the soil and aquatic life. So aluminum ion can damage the fish gills and suffocation of the fish. So these are some kinds of pollutants that are very harmful, very dangerous for the soil quality and soil properties. Loamy soil. Loamy soil is a kind of soil that can be composed of all three kinds of textures. When we mix all three kinds of texture, all three kinds of soil texture, clay, silt, and sand, then the final product will be loamy. That is considered as the loamy soil. And it is very loose and rich. When you squeeze it, it forms a ball that crumble when poked. And it's good for absorbing and storing the water, and it is best for plant growth. Okay, so for plant growth, you can compose all the clay, silt, and sand soil in a proper proportion, in the same amount, so that it can be very much useful for the absorption of the water, and that will be useful, that will be very best for the plant growth. Okay, soil types can also be categorized. Soil can also be categorized on the basis of the water content. So basically there are three kinds of soils based on their water content: pedocel, pedelfer, and laterite. Pedocel means this kind of soil can be found in a dry and semi-arid climatic region, and it is having very less amount of organic matter. There is no mineral leaching, and it is high limestone content. Pedelfer is enriched with the aluminum and the iron. It is having greater organic matter and leaching. It is found in the areas with higher temperature and the lots of forest cover. And third type of soil is laterite. Laterite is a soil that can be found in the tropical and subtropical climate zone. It is having high organic matter and low nutrients. Okay, these kinds of soil appears as a red color because of the aluminum hydroxide. This soil have aluminum hydroxide, that's why it appears as a red color, or you can call it as a red soil. So depending on the water content, we can also categorize the soil into three types: pedocel, pedelfer, and laterite. So you see here, pedelfer is one of the useful soil type because it can be found in the areas with high temperature and lots of forest cover. If there is a lots of forest cover, and then that soil can be categorized as a pedelfer, and it is very enriched with the aluminum and iron, and it is having greater amount of the organic matter and leaching. So pedocel, pedelfer, and laterite are the three important kinds of soil that can be categorized on the basis of the water content. Okay, in case of dry climate, it looks like that. It appears as a pedocel. It is having such kind of vegetation. Then Padelfer is having the soil that is having human enriched soil, that is quartz and the clay minerals present. It is having different kinds of iron and aluminum materials, and it is having granite bedrock. Laterite is found in the wet climatic zone, and it appears as a red color because of the aluminum hydroxide, because of the mixing of the aluminum hydroxide in that soil. Soil porosity is also important property of soil. Porosity means it's the amount of the, or it's the measurement of the volume of the pores or air spaces per volume of the soil and average distance between these spaces. Fine particle helps the retain water, and large particles help create an air space for the filtration. Porosity means how much air or water can pass through the soil. That is known as soil porosity. If there is a fine particle soil, so it can easily retain the water. So rainfall or the precipitation can easily go into the pores to the underground water that will be stored in the underground water. If it is having large particles in the soil, it helps to create the air space that can be used for the filtration process. The pores between organic solid particles and the inorganic soil particles in the upper and lower level. It contains the varying amount of the air, that is nitrogen and oxygen. Porous soil may have different kinds of or different amount of the water. It can hold different amount of the water, and non-porous soil cannot hold the water. So for holding the water, soil should be have some porous properties, porous materials, so it can easily hold the water, and that can be used for the that can be very much useful for the growth of the plant, because that soil can easily hold the water, and that water, and also it can have the amount of the nitrogen or oxygen that is very much useful for the growth of the plant. So porosity is very important, and the porosity is directly related to the particle size of the soil, the size of the soil particles. If it is having teeny particles, if it is having fine particles, it can easily hold the water. If it is having large particles, it can it can help to create the air spaces that can be used for the filtration process. So you can see here, they are the different kinds of the soil on the basis of their particles. It is gravel. This is gravel. Gravel means larger particle size of the soil. So it is well sorted and high porosity. It is having high porosity, means they cannot stick with each other, they cannot mix with each other. So there may be the pores, there may be the space, that space may be used to filter the water. Okay. And it is, if it is having less particle size, if the soil is having less particle size, so it cannot hold the water. It can hold the water, but it cannot allow water to go inside. That cannot be stored as a underground water. So particle size, large particle size is very good for the porosity of the soil, that can allow water to go inside. And small particle size, teeny particle size, they, although they can hold the water, but they cannot allow water to go inside. So this is not useful for the underground recharging of the underground water, or recharging of the water in the aquifers. So this is the porosity. This is very important characteristics of the soil. So soil permeability is the rate at which water and air moves through the soil. How fast water and air move through the soil is known as soil permeability. It is the rate of the movement of the air and water through the soil. Okay. So sand is having high permeability. It is because the water can easily water moves through quickly, and it filters the water. That's why when you put the water on the sand, it suddenly disappeared. It means sand is having high permeability. But when you have clay soil, if you are having different kinds of soil, it is having small particle size, so it is having low permeability, means water can be moved through at a slow rate. Water moves through the slow rate in case of clay soil. But in case of sandy soil, if the soil is having sand particles or very large particles, so water can easily move through in a quick manner, that can be used for the filtration process. The sand and clay, These are two important types of soil that can be studied for the soil permeability. Sand is very useful for the soil permeability. Clay type of soil is having low permeability because water moves at a slow rate, but it can retain the water. But sand cannot retain the water, but the water can move through very quickly through the surface, and it can be used for the filtration of the water. So soil permeability and soil porosity, these are the two important properties of the soil that is directly related to the water availability in that area. If it is having sandy soil, it is having different kinds of water content. If it is having clay soil, it is having different kinds of water content in that area. Topography is the mapping of the land by contours and the physical features of the areas. Okay, as we know that water runs downhill, water always runs in the downward direction, so it is easy for soil to be carried away during a heavy rainstorm. So the soil on the slopy area cannot be held at that area because in the case of heavy rainfall, all the soil can run off to the downward direction. So topography is also important. If we talk about highly mountainous region in a hilly terrain, in case of hilly terrain, because of the heavy rainfall, all the soil can be run off. That is having the soil erosion. That will be responsible for the soil erosion. Okay, the soil formation is influenced by these 5 factors: organism, topography, climate, parent material, and the time. These important factors, these are the factors that is responsible for the formation of soil. These factors influence the soil formation. How soil is formed, as it is already discussed in the previous slides. Initially, all the soil was in the form of bedrocks, it's kind of rock. But by the time the rocks started into disintegrating into small pieces, and then there is a organic matter. When organic matter mixed with these small rock pieces, it is converted into the soil, and it can also have different kinds of mineral because of different human activities, because of different organic matter. And the uppermost layer of the soil is considered as the a horizon, which is very much rich in case of nutrients and the organic material. And but still the topmost layer topmost layer and the top down layer of the soil is having different properties. The lowest layer of the soil is still in the form of bedrocks, but the topmost layer of the soil is now converted into soil that is having different kinds of nutrients, different kinds of organic material that will be very much useful, that is very beneficial for the plant growth. So there are 4 stages of the soil formation. Initially, all the soil was in the form of bedrock, in the form of rocks, and then these rocks are started disintegrating into different small pieces. Then small pieces of that rocks are mixed with different organic matter, and then there may be some accumulation, dissolution of different minerals, different organic matter that can now be responsible for the plant growth. And now the topmost layer are having very rich in the organic matter and or you can say the nutrients and different kinds of other organic materials. Okay, so this is the process of the formation of soil into 4 stages. Soil problem for caused by human. So these are the soil can also be affected by the human activities. The properties of the soil is also affected by the anthropogenic activities. So top soil is having nutrient rich soil layer. It is millimeters to meters deep. It contains a mix of the organic matter and the minerals, and it can be renewed when replenished with the different kinds of soil organic materials. Okay, Loamy soil is composed of same amount of clay, silt, and sand. Okay, and it is able to aggregate. Means best soils are aggregate of different soil types that is bound together by organic matter. So tillage is an important. Tillage is the anthropogenic activity, anthropogenic act that may be responsible for the soil degradation. So it is having repeated process. Tillage breaks down the soil aggregates and leaving the plough pan or hard pan. It increases the soil erosion. Okay, because of the tillage process, there may be the high rate of the soil erosion. It is done between through the increase of the soil nutrients. Today, narrow chisel plows are used that leave 75% of the crop residue on the surface and open up only a thin ridge for the seeds. So this is the common practice in the agricultural land. Tillage is the common practice in the agricultural land. It breaks down the soil, and now that soil is exposed to the different kinds of runoff in case of heavy rainfall that may be responsible for the soil erosion. So tillage is a kind of anthropogenic activity that is responsible for the soil erosion or the degradation of the soil quality. Okay, monoculture is the planting of just one type of crop in large area. So if we are using same kind of crop, if we are planting same kind of crop in an area, so that decreases the genetic diversity of crop species, and there may be the lack of genetic variation, and it is also having consistent planting of one plant in an area leaches the soil of specific nutrients needed for the plant growth. Machinery, large machines is now used for agricultural practices. So agriculture industry is a huge consumer of the energy, and energy is consumed by the production of the pesticides, different kinds of fertilizers, and use of the fossil fuels to the power farm machinery. So these are some activities, these are some acts that are responsible for the soil degradation: monoculture, machinery, tillage. Okay, now green revolution is a program that is initiated for the boom in the agricultural productivity. Because of the green revolution, there are a lot of fertilizers and different kinds of industrial revolution is there. Because of the industrial revolution, machines are the use of the machines have been increased in the farming practices that increases the worldwide agricultural productivity. Okay, but it is having different drawbacks. It increases the irrigation, and over irrigated soils is responsible for the salinization. Okay, because of the irrigation practices, because of the over irrigation, there is a problem of soil salinity, and soil becomes waterlogged, and when it dries out, salt forms a layer on the surface which leads to the land degradation. Drip irrigation is the only way that have started combating the problem of the soil salinity, and it allows the area only necessary amount of the water, and water delivered straight to the roots. The chemical pesticides, the new insect species that are pesticide resistant, it is having different kinds of negative impacts. The use of the chemical pesticides, use of different fertilizers, having negative impact on the soil productivity, on the soil quality. Although the green revolution have increased the productivity, but still there is a negative consequences, negative impacts of the green revolution in terms of soil salinity, in terms of you can say the degradation in the soil quality because of the use of high amount of fertilizers or chemical pesticides. Okay, so these are the major factors, anthropogenic activities that are responsible for the soil degradation. Soil erosion. The bare soil means the soil is having no grass or any kind of vegetation, which is very much exposed, which is very much prone to the soil erosion. Bare soil is the soil that is having no plant on that layer, on that surface. Okay, it is having more susceptibility to the erosion in case of rainwater, rainfall. Erosion is a normal and natural process, but the constant movement of the wind and water on the earth's surface can increase the rate of the erosion, and because of the high rate of the erosion, there may be different drawbacks. It removes the very important top layer of the soil that is very much rich in the nutrients. As we know that top layer of the soil is having a high concentration of the nutrients. But in case of soil erosion, the topmost layer of the soil will be wiped out, will be removed because of the heavy rainfall or because of the wind. So over 25 billion tons of the soil lost due to the wind and water erosion. Okay, that high rate of erosion can lead to the desertification. Desertification can be there because of the high rate of the soil erosion due to water and the wind, and it deposits the soil in undesirable places. And farmers needs healthy soil for the planting, and all the humans rely on water, uncontaminated water for the drinking. The causes for the soil erosion is also deforestation. Deforestation is also an important cause of the soil erosion, that is having logging and slash and burn of the plants anchor in O and A horizon of the soil. Overcultivation of the agricultural fields, overgrazing, urbanization is also having important role in the soil erosion process. Okay, so these are anthropogenic activities responsible for the degradation of the soil and soil erosion. Soil erosion concerns, because of the soil erosion, there may be adverse impacts of this on the soil. There may be the less amount of the nutrients, because topmost layer is eroded because of the wind and water, so there may be the less concentration of the nutrients. Okay, so there may be the less productivity. So again, to improve the level of the organic material, to improve the level of the nutrients, we started using fertilizers. So it also affects the water quality and soil quality of that area. Okay, so this is the major concern because of the soil erosion. Because of this soil erosion, as the topmost layer is blown away by the wind or the water in case of rainfall, so there may be the flooding, there may be reduced water quality, there may be the increased sedimentation, built up of the silt in the reservoir and the navigation channels. Dust storms may be there because of the soil erosion. Air pollution, health issues may also be there because of the soil erosion, that may be in terms of different allergies, eye infection, and upper respiratory problems. Okay, so soil erosion is affecting the nature, soil erosion is affecting the environment in different ways, in terms of flooding, in terms of reduction of the water quality, in terms of the dust storms, air pollution, and different kinds of health issues on the human population. Okay, so now we have to move on the soil conservation. So different management practices, different soil conservation schemes and practices have been started to conserve the soil. So for that, we need to use the organic material in case of, instead of fertilizers and the pesticides, for improving the productivity, slow down the effects of the wind, and we should reduce the amount of the damage done to the soil by the tillage. Tillage practices should be reduced. That may be used to reduce the soil erosion process. So we need to use animal waste and the residue of the plants to increase the amount of the organic material. We can modify the tillage practices to reduce the breakup of the soil, and that also reduce the amount of the erosion. And we should use the trees and other wind barriers. We have to plant the trees. If we are having more number of trees, more number of plants, so definitely it will be helped, it will be used as a wind barriers, it will be used to reduce the effect of wind, so that there may be no erosion because of the wind. That may reduce the soil erosion properties, that may be reduce the soil erosion of in that area. Okay, there may be another problem solutions to the soil conservation, that is contour planting can be there, strip farming, we can promote the street farming. Terracing is an important soil conservation practices that is similar to the strip farming. And perennial plant growing, these are some soil conservation practices: contour planting, strip farming, terracing, and perennial plant growing. So we can use these soil conservation practices to reduce the soil erosion, to reduce the rate of soil erosion, and to reduce the uh, effect of the fertilizers or effect of the pesticides on the soil quality, and again it is related to the water quality in that area. Okay. So in India, there are different laws related to the soil conservation. In 1977, Soil and Water Conservation Act was was initiated to conserve the soil and water, to aid the landowners and the users. It set up the condition to continue the evaluation of the condition of the soil, water, and related sources. In 1984, Food Security Act, okay, that discouraged the conservation of the wetlands to the non-wetlands. And in 1990, federal legislation denied the federal farm supplement to those who converted wetlands to the agriculture. And this Food Security Act provided the restoration of the benefits to those who unknowingly converted the land to the wasteland. So also there are different laws, different acts are also initiated, or also comes into the scenario for the soil conservation in India in 1977 and 1984. So today we have discussed different kinds of soil layers, different soil properties, then anthropogenic activities, different natural processes responsible for the soil erosion and soil degradation, and what are the solutions to the soil erosion and soil degradation, and how we can conserve the soil, how we can improve the soil productivity, how we can improve the quality of the soil using different kinds of agricultural practices. So thank you very much for today's class. We will meet again in the next class with the next lecture. Thank you very much.